Siobhan O Hagan, you're very welcome.
Thank
Thank you for getting on my lash bed.
Any excuse. I was like, please, can I come and do an interview so I can get my brows done?
You've been through a massive shift in your life the past few years. You've moved back to Ireland. You were in Bali. You were in London. You've had a beautiful baby. I'm sure the question you get asked the most is what's changed most about your life. I don't want to ask you that. I want to ask you. I'm not starting with that. What hasn't changed? Has anything not changed that you thought would, and are you glad it hasn't, or do you wish it had?
That's a good question. What hasn't changed? Like, I still have to run a business.
There's that.
What hasn't changed? I still love a margarita. I still like, so much has changed, obviously. But the kind of constants in my life for like my family, there's nothing else. Everything else has changed.
Everything else.
I still do jiu-jitsu, but not even as good as I used to. I still go to the gym, but not as frequently. I still work, but not as much. So everything has changed.
Are you good with being kind to yourself? Because I know you, like, training is such a big part of your life, and I'm sure it's something that you don't get to do as much anymore. Are you kind to yourself when you don't get it in as much?
Yeah, I really haven't put any pressure on myself. Like, even since Kyla was born, I was just dying to get out walking, and I realized, I mean, I still did have opportunity when she was being minded by different people. I was able to get the odd session in. And, realistically, my goal at the time was just to kind of lose some weight. And I knew that I could do that through nutrition and walking. But, I mean, deep down, I think my long-term goal is always to kind of have muscle and also get better at jiu-jitsu. And that's kind of difficult to do unless you're training consistently. So I just kind of had to tell myself like that. It's just a period of, I'm just in a different season of my life, maybe, where like your training isn't your priority. And I'm fine with it. Yeah, I go very easy on myself. Like, I don't get frustrated. Like, if anything, I'm like, oh, better not train today. I need to spend time with Kyla. Or, I'm definitely not like tied up on it. But I've kind of making it work now. Like, and I do get some free time. I've started going to classes again, which, like, I was trying to just go to the gym myself. And when it came, like, my mom was like, I'll come over now and my Kyla. And I'd be like, oh, it's 4:00. I've no interest in going to the gym myself and doing a training session. Like, I'd have no motivation. So I've started like booking into a class. So like even today, I just did not want to go, but it was booked, so I had to go. And then you feel great. So I'm even when I'm exhausted, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't go. I'm like, because you're booked in. Yeah, so that motivation is there, but it's difficult, especially when if you haven't had a best night's sleep. And luckily I do get a lot of sleep, but this, like, even last night, she was just awake a little bit more. I had her in my bed for a bit. And then you just feel it. And then I just think it's mad that women all over the world have to just get on with their day. Like, and when they're sleep deprived.
It's crazy.
And I'm sure men as well.
And men. Yeah. Can't leave them out. You trained throughout your whole pregnancy, which I love, because I feel like up until a few years ago, it was kind of like when a woman got pregnant, it was like they didn't even think they could train, and it was like throw caution to the wind, and they're eating whatever they is in front of them, and they just stop.
I did that.
Yeah, as you should. But I think a lot of women are being a lot more conscious that they actually don't have to give up their training.
Yeah, I really wanted to show that, but especially now at the end, when I had the baby, like, I really think it all stood to me. I used to share all the videos. I knew, like, I mean, people were like, oh God, are you not getting people giving out to you? I was like, no, just my mom. She was the only person been like, oh, careful. And I was like, it's good. Like, I knew I had done a pre and postnatal training course. Before I had the baby, just for my own clients. Of course, I knew, even when I realized I was pregnant, I was like, oh my God, I forget everything. And I had to go look it all up again. And, I was like, is this safe? Is this safe? And the more, I was reminded that, like, the more muscle you have, the better. Endurance, everything. Like, it was even for my mental health, like, just kept me going. Like, I loved training. Like, I had nothing else to do the rest of the day mostly. And I was so bored. And I just loved my training. And yeah, I obviously scaled a lot of the weights back. I felt like my cardio was still pretty good. Like on the machines and stuff. I was doing CrossFit. And I just loved that I could just scale back. I'd be like, oh, can't do those, can't do the assault bike. And they're like, why not? I'm like, because I'm pregnant. Even though like I just didn't want to do it. But yeah, I really think, I was like training till I was overdue. And
you were overdue by a couple of days, weren't you?
Yeah, they induced me over at 10 days over. That's the max they'll let you go. Well, in the hospital anyway.
And when did the training stop?
I was due on the 14th, and I remember, I think it was on the 16th. I went in for a checkup, and they were kind of like, I was kind of like, get this baby out now. I was convinced I was going to go, and they were like, oh, maybe you're stressing your body too much. And I was like, okay, I'll try relax for a few days.
Yeah.
Didn't work, so I should have just kept training. So yeah, like it was. I do think like it kind of taught me that like I know that I can. I mean, training in general has taught me that I know I can challenge myself. I know I can push past what I think I can do.
Yeah.
Built endurance, built strength, connect with my body. And I just think that all helped with giving birth.
Yeah.
I was really open to getting the epidural. Like I didn't know what way it would go. And but when I got induced, it all happened quite fast. And I knew I was breathing through the pain really well.
Yeah.
They were actually really surprised, and they checked me. They were like, oh my God, they had to like whisk me down to the delivery ward. And I was like, I knew I wasn't being dramatic enough. But I also knew then, I was like, I know I'm handling this pain more. They were surprised at how well I was handling it.
Yeah.
So all the kind of breath work I practiced, I knew like my core muscles that just like, I can just push this baby out.
Yeah.
And I did, but I just think the training helped. Now, I mean, there's obviously women who've trained ultra pregnancy and, the delivery doesn't go as well.
Yeah,
so it's not that, but I do think it puts you in the best possible position.
Yeah, that you can be.
Yeah, yeah. And I was also really careful, like sharing all the videos. And like, if you can train, because some people like are bedbound.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be like rubbing it in but I think it was just trying to get through to those women who thought that that you have to be, acting like you can't do anything.
Yeah. Because I'm sure also there's a lot of women out there that throughout their pregnancy felt fine and more than capable, but probably didn't.
Were scared
to do it.
It is, because all you want to do obviously is protect the baby inside you. So you're not willing to do anything that's risky. And so that's why I think it helped. Obviously I had done the course because I understood the body. Like there were things like they say, like say not doing sit-ups. Or say like even plank, and it's actually not to do with the baby in there. It's to do with like your connective tissue between your abs, and that you're making sure that you're not stretching it as well. It will be stretched, but you're trying to kind of limit it. And just even understanding that, then I was like, all right, okay, I can plank up until I start seeing the doming. And whereas people just think, oh, I'm pregnant, can't plank. It's I try and educate women on understanding why and then make their best decisions. So some people are able to run through their whole pregnancy. I stopped running at like 11 weeks because I think I was looking for an excuse not to. But and then I was able to like skip for a while, but then I was able to feel when my pelvic floor was like, actually that's enough. So big advocate for training in pregnancy.
I love it. And after you had the baby, I know a lot of women talk about it after they have their baby, the pressure to get back into the shape they were in prior comes.
Yeah.
How, I feel like I already know your answer because I know you're so smart and so rational, but especially with you having such a massive following and your career and your business, did that pressure come? How did you deal with it?
No, do you know what? I really think I had resigned that my body was now changed forever. Like, that's the way I looked at it. Like I was my leanest in a long time when I got pregnant and put on weight fast. Well, I felt like I did. But kind of looking back, I was like, I was still tiny. But I put on about 20 kilos in total by the time I gave birth. And a lot of that came off quite fast. Like, I mean, like you lose, I don't know, I can't remember. I wasn't really weighing myself, but like it did, like say 10 kilos came off fast. And then I was kind of like, oh, this is, and do you know what? I felt great then. Like I actually was like, oh, I feel like I knew I was still wearing like much bigger clothes and like none of my jeans fit, but I don't know, I felt great. So I wasn't actually like actively trying to change. And I think that's whenever I end up feeling my best, it's when I'm not actively trying to.
Yeah.
Like I'll go through phases, like because of my lifestyle. Like I love training. I know, like I do want to be lean, so like I kind of will make good nutrition choices, but I also love food, so I'm just never willing to diet enough to get lean. Like I just don't care enough about being lean.
I find that as well though, because whenever I really, really, really try to lose weight, it's never happened, but it's when I kind of forget about it.
The problem is, trying to lose weight normally means eating too little, and then you're not enjoying the process, and it ends quickly. If you are like moving loads, not because you're trying to lose weight, but moving loads because you want to like learn a new skill or do something fun, or like just if it's not to lose weight, then you're doing it for a longer, like you're more likely to keep that up for a long time. And then with nutrition, if you're not eating so little of it and just eating a bit more, very, very slight deficit, then you can keep that up for a long time. You're not feeling like, oh, this is hard. And then you can, there's room to like be flexible, enjoy your life. And then you're able to listen to your hunger levels a lot more than when because some people think they're either eating too little or they're eating too much. But like there is a place where you can listen to your body and listen to your hunger levels. And like if I do train a lot, I know I'll eat more I know that if I don't train, then I probably will have less that day. And it's not like and it's definitely not in a kind of earning food kind of way. It's just like my body won't need it that much. But and then I kind of just like what I always crave is a feeling good. It's like at Christmas, I was like, no, that's it now. I'm gonna actually diet, after Christmas. But it's not like it's after a week of eating of like dieting. I was like, actually, I feel grand. It's just that what I want. What the feeling was that I was chasing the feeling of eating properly and training. Whereas, obviously Christmas when you're just drinking and eating, you're always like, I know that's it now. Next week, and then I would go back to it. I'm like, actually, no, I'm just going back to eating normal. I'm not going to diet.
And we all feel it. Like you said, it is craving that feeling of feeling good. I do it nearly every holiday I go on. When I come back, I'm always like, I'm going to go gung-ho the next 4 months. This time 4 months is going to be half the size I am. And a couple of days in, I'm like, oh, it was just water weight. I'm actually grand.
And you realise like it's that you just want to feel good and you think you're going to do all these dramatic things. It's just not necessary. I think it's just that if you do want to get leaner, it's like it has to be lifestyle habits. It can't be like a short-term diet or a short-term training plan. You have to be doing movement that you enjoy or that you really know the long-term values of. Like I might not enjoy weight training as much as I used to, but because I know how beneficial it is, I'll do it. And I'll try. I do it in, as I said, like doing a class means that I'm kind of like tied into doing it, that I'm not just relying on my own motivation, because motivation is useless. Well, it might be okay, like for that week after holidays or week after Christmas, but it's useless once you realize that you don't want it that much.
One thing I've always really admired about you, and I don't know if I've noticed it more because I know you, but you utilize your time to the minute. I don't know if you noticed, but on your stories, like you go through your schedule with us a lot, and you'll be like, okay, I've got this with Kyla today, and then she has a class, and then I'm going to do this, and then I have a bit of free time, and I have 2 things I can do.
Free time? I don't know. That must have been from 2 years ago.
It was something along the lines of that. And is that a natural trait of yours, or is that something?
I do. I squeeze as much as I can into and I've always been like my morning routine was always really important to me, and it kind of set me up because I used to squeeze so much into the morning. Like I'd get up, do yoga, read for half an hour, have my coffee, journal, probably do like a marketing email, and then go training. But like that was all enough to do whatever, to then do whatever I wanted the rest of the day. Like that's back probably living in Bali mostly, and then having the baby, just like the morning routine is kind of like I do my best with it. Like I get up and I know I have to give her a bottle, and I'll drink coffee, and I'll probably do yoga. That's probably the extent of it. But it's really hard. Like I do try and squeeze a lot in, but a lot of the time now I'm just sitting on the floor playing with Kyla. But like if I do have like these 24 hours to myself, like it's literally like, okay, like I haven't got a second free until I get her back at 3:00 tomorrow. It's all planned out to a T, because it means then I can enjoy it when I do get her back. I'm like, right, I've done all my training sessions, all my work. got my brows done, and I can chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't really like plan free time. But then now I don't plan it, but it kind of has to happen with the baby.
Yeah.
And, we just went out to the park today, and I don't really post. I haven't posted that. Like, I don't think I've actually posted anything since I did my yoga this morning. But that's because I'm just like in the car driving around, and I'll probably post bits tonight.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I have to. I'm like, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
You have been, well, you're a qualified PT like years now.
Yeah.
When I'm really interested to know, because you have been so successful in your switch from on the floor PT to fully online.
Yeah.
And you've been fully online for a number of years now.
Yeah, since 2017.
Since 2017, so going on 6 or 7 years. So you kind of switched to online before being an online PT was actually a thing.
Yeah.
You were one of the first people in Ireland anyways to do it. Was that planned? Was it natural? Was it because you're an influencer as well, you had to?
No, like the Instagram was set up as a marketing for my PT. Like, I was like, I was back in 2015. I was working in like financial services, and I was miserable, and I ended up doing the PT course on the side, and I was like, right, how am I gonna, like, I felt like, no, I need to look like a PT. Like, back then PTs were literally just ripped people.
Yeah.
And I decided to then get a PT myself, and I was like, maybe I'll document my journey. But I was so embarrassed to post anything about my gym.
Really?
Oh my God, I set up a separate Instagram from my own page to be like, I'm going to share my journey over here if anyone has any interest. And I had like 600 followers. I don't know, like, I remember it kind of grew, and I was like, oh,
was there a specific post? I was talking to another influencer about this. I was like, was there like a few weeks ago, she had a specific reel that went, like, did that happen for you, or what was it?
I was like, back in my day, there was no reels. No, this was 2015, and like, Instagram was so easy then because it was chronological. So like, people who followed you saw your stuff. It was on their feed when you posted, like, and I was one of the first women in Ireland lifting weights. I mean, online.
Yeah.
And it was quite impactful because I was getting leaner and leaner, and like looking like toned. That word that, like, this is back. I said women weren't even not that many women were lifting weights, and I really wanted to share that message that, like, to get smaller and leaner, lift weights and look after your nutrition. And that was kind of, I think that was kind of dramatic. People used to see my transformations that I was posting, and they were like, oh my God, how much cardio and abs do you do? And I was like, none.
No,
And so that was the kind of it got people following, and it was such simple times back then. It used to be like #IrishFitFam, and everyone that used that hashtag would,
I know now people use that as a hashtag as a joke.
Yeah,
but like, that was like, if you wanted to be seen by other fitness people, that was what you used.
Yeah, and it was easy. People were really supportive. Like, there was never there was no criticism.
Yeah.
When I look back at some of the things I posted, I was like, I probably could have done with some criticism there. And so I was doing the PT course, and I remember seeing a thing on Facebook. I think it was an ad for a guy's course. Jonathan Goodman, he was doing an online coaching course, and where you do it for PTs to learn how to coach online. I was like, that's so interesting. I was like, imagine doing that. And I did the course. It was really simple, but it was, I remember in that course, they were like, no one else is doing this, so like, you can price it whatever you want. Whereas, like, if you're charging something like for milk, like, everyone knows the price of milk. If you ask someone how much is online coaching, no one has any idea. So you can charge what you want. I was like, interesting. But obviously I had to get time on the gym floor, and I started working in the gym, and I was flat out, and I was so busy straight away. Like, and looking back, I'm like, I really didn't know that much, but I was just passionate. I just wanted to share.
Yeah.
And I started, I think I kind of came to another bit of a point where I was like, oh my God, I'm so busy. I haven't got time to train myself now.
Yeah.
I'm up every morning at 5 to train other people rather than when I used to train. My routine's out the window. And I kind of had I started doing all like the self-help books and everything, and the journaling, and I kind of imagined, the dream, and it wasn't like to own a gym. It was like, a laptop on the hammock on the beach.
Yeah.
And I already had this following. I had people who wanted me to train them all over Ireland anyway, and, the world. And so I started doing I was starting doing online coaching as well. I already started like a bit of it, but I didn't have any systems in place. But by the time 2017 came along, I knew like leaving the gym. I just wanted to. I wanted to travel. Like I'd kind of
Yeah.
gone to Portugal the odd time, but I couldn't leave your client. You know, you can't leave clients for that long. And I was like, I'm going to have to make a cut here. And like, obviously, it'd be a lot of money leaving the gym, but I was so clear on my values of like this freedom and happiness that I was like, just do it. You don't need the money. Go. And went fully online in 2017. And then I did a lot of travel back and forth. I was renting in Dublin. And then in 2018, I turned 30 and was like, right, that's it, leaving. And I packed up the apartment, went off traveling with my laptop, and yeah, so it was fully online, and it gave me that freedom. And you know, all of a sudden I was like, oh, there's the hammock with the laptop. I don't even need the laptop on the beach. You know, you just run most of it from the phone. Um, so I was lucky, like that I was ahead of the game, because I know COVID came along and a lot of people had to panic setting up online coaching. You know, their in-person business was gone, and I luckily had the systems in place already.
Do you feel like because you had the big following that I know you do massive amounts of work, you work really hard, but do you think because you had the following, do you think it helped with the online coaching?
Yeah, that's, I mean, the following started building over, like when I kept sharing transformation photos and everything, which I don't do anymore because like I've learned better. But and then obviously doing bodybuilding, you know, it's Instagram is so visual, so like these kind of transformations and physical changes made, you know, like I got a lot of followers. But obviously then just being myself, obviously that's why. No, I'm only joking. I don't know why people stick around, because I'm just such a normal life now where I'm just like, yeah.
I know why, because you've always been really normal about what goes on in your day-to-day life. And I think like for people who have only kind of started following you in the last 5 years, like they wouldn't know that impact. Like it was massive. Like there, and I mean this in the nicest way, like there was nobody like you. Like any fitness girl I knew of was size 6 and had bleach blonde hair. And then you came along and you were like, I'm making a big transformation. I'm going to show the ugly parts and the good parts. And you can...
and like that's, I remember one time, I mean, thank you. But I
Do you know
remember
what I
one
mean?
time, I remember like because I was doing the Instagram, like I obviously do my PT course with a load of people. And I remember one guy was like, you know, making business cards. And I was like, I'm going to use Instagram. And he was like, Instagram, like kind of laughing about it. And like people did doubt it. Like even when I was working in the first gym, and I remember I came back from a holiday and I was going straight into the gym to train people. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get McDonald's on the way home. And someone said to me like, oh, you won't show that on Instagram? I was like, yeah, well, because the other way, like previously fitness people were just these, you know, perfect, clean eating hashtag.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'll show it. And that was the stuff I realized that people much prefer when you're honest and you're yourself and you're not pretending to be perfect. Because I did notice a lot of people were pretending that they followed these perfect diets all the time. And I wanted to show that it could be done imperfectly. And that I kind of kept that going all the time. You know, it's like I'd just rather show up like myself and be accepted for the way I am, rather than pretending to be someone else.
Absolutely. But that is, and you've such a loyal following. Like the people, like they they really appreciate your honesty, and you've got such a community that you've built.
I know I've such followers that are there from the start, and then obviously people have kind of come in since, but like there's people there, like, and it's been such a rock because people might have followed me for fitness and then travel and then mother, like if for people to stick around for the whole thing, like I'm not very grateful. I know obviously that some people don't follow me, like especially I used to unfollow people when they announced they're pregnant because I knew they were going to just talk about babies and I had no interest. So like no, I don't mind at all if people are like, I really don't care what you're showing, what you're giving your child for breakfast.
But that's what you signed up for, is to show the different seasons of your life.
Yeah, like again, I'm not going to pretend that I'm in the gym every day now if I'm not. You know, I just show my life, and there's no obligation for anyone to stick around. I mean, even if people don't want to watch me for some reason, they still watch me.
Do you still enjoy it after all these years?
Yeah, like there's so many great parts to it, like Instagram and the whole, like when I started it, Instagram, like there was no such thing as influencers. There was no such thing as, it was just a social media. And all of a sudden the account I had set up to show my fitness journey overtook my normal Instagram. And I was like, God, there's people actually interested in this. And then I started getting opportunities of it. Like, I remember someone wanted to send me a pair of leggings, and I was like, oh my God, sponsor that lead. This is it. And then there's been so many amazing opportunities, like travel opportunities, going to events, getting obviously free things, but like that's become a separate business of mine, like like content creation and influencing, like an agent and all that. But at the same time, my main business is the online coaching, and that it's kind of hard trying to find that balance. I mean, everything's hard trying to find a balance with the baby, but it's, I don't know, Instagram's a weird one. It's like, do people want to see my outfits, or should I talk about fitness? Or like, because my own page, like I have the Furnace Instagram page, and I don't know, like I don't know what you posted about my own page. I still enjoy it. Yeah, that to answer your question, like I'm an oversharer. Like I saw some people talking recently about how they have to like pep themselves up to go talk on their story, and I'm like, I can't shut myself up once the baby's not there. I'm like, you see me like for 24 hours talking for ages, and I just go quiet.
I mean, I'm an all or nothing. Like I'm either gonna show every bit of me or none of me, and I'm like that with my own business page. You know, sometimes if I want to come on and have, you know, I'm not a rant, but just like, who cares if I'm in a bad mood?
Yeah,
my lashes are still gonna be great. Like, do you know what I mean? So just be, and I think
people like the personality behind business. That like sometimes you'd be talking about whatever, and I'm like, okay, oh, she's chatting. You know, like I better sit down and listen. And even like, and I find myself listening to people talking about those random things, but I just feel like that's better than people posting just, here's a picture of what I did, like of the browse I did today.
Yeah.
You know, like you need a bit of both, because people buy into people's personalities, and I've always, like, that's it. Like people trust me, and it's helped with my business, and obviously with influencing as well, because they know that, like, because they've watched me for so many years, they trust me as a person. They know that if I tell them that this isn't something good, it has to be. They're not just following me because I share pretty pictures and then I tell them to buy something. You know, it's not that, like I'm so aware of that trust, and I really try and like make sure I keep that. The amount of like things I've turned down, and I'm like, and then I see other people doing it, and I'm like, you know, like I'm like, no, it'll the morals and ethics, it'll come back to me in the long run.
Well, one of the things that I'm so impressive, I find so impressive with you, is your whole following is so genuine. Like, you've a massive following, and I've seen, like, you see other people with the same amount of following as you, and it's so clearly they bought their followers. It's so clear.
I never really look into it. Like, my followers pretty much stagnated, because I think I actually gain and lose for the same amount of followers all the time. But again, people who are like, oh, I followed this girl when I met her in Bali 5 years ago, and now I'm looking at her walking around Dublin with her pram. Like, I get that, but then there's so many new people coming along. So I do think, especially if it comes to working with brands, like there's no hiding. You know, like if I share something, if I get excited about something and share a link on my story, like they'll see the influence on it. You know, that's when the brand will know they trust you. Obviously, if people are buying what I recommend, I hope they genuinely do like it, and then they learn to trust. And if I share something that it is worthwhile, it's easy enough if you're honest. Like.
You announced on your Instagram recently that the Furnace is coming to an end. What was that like? Because
it's I just think everything, it's become a bit stale. Like I've had it for years. Like, so I started my online, when I started online coaching, it was just like online coaching, and then I started like on the side the O Fitness Factory, because like OH Fitness was like my username.
That was your thing.
God, when I look back now, like if I meet someone who says they did the O Fitness Factory, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like when I look back now, I'm like it was me pulling together the first kind of like online exercise. Like I recorded them in my front room at Christmas when I was like dying. And anyway,
but you had no blueprint.
Yeah, exactly. That was O Fitness Factory, and then I was like, I want to do something a little bit more like with tracking and everything, and I was just like, I just need an F word. I was like, oh, Fitness Furnace, and I was like, oh yeah, Furnace would be like kind of, you know, I was thinking flames. This is obviously back when I was more like fat burn. I was thinking flames, and I always thought about like the body is this, like if you fuel it well, then that's like this good energy inside your body that like burns away when you when you've got a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
So that's this whole furnace thing, and oh fitness furnace. Then that started getting really stale, and like I kept doing new versions of it.
Yeah.
Like recording new content maybe every year or two. Like I mean, kind of doing a whole refresh. And then the last time I was like, I hate fitness furnace. I was like, but the name, everyone knows the name. Like,
Yeah.
so I was like, let's just call it the furnace and like move away from this flamey thing. Like I just wanted more. But even then, it was actually such an issue because I had a business partner who he used to do all the background stuff, and I ended with him, just didn't really need it anymore, and I set up the furnace on my own, and it became a bit messy because then I had people been like, I signed up to Fitness Furnace and I can't access it, and I'm like, oh, it's actually a separate business, and it was really kind of messy. Like obviously I had special offers for anyone who had done it before, but I mean it's been the furnace for that long, and it's funny because people still do it and like they still think it's great. But I was like, no, I need something new. And I actually made Corey was the head coach, and we're now partners on this new project. We haven't announced the name yet, but it's going to be completely different. I'm not going to say too much about it. But it means then, like people, even like say people who have followed me and who have paid for the furnace before, like it's going to be something completely new for them. Like people want, like I've learned so much over the years, even over the last year or two. And I want to bring that into coaching, and I want to change the way we do it. And I want to, so like, and even like, I felt like I needed to be more motivated myself. And it's funny because the furnace, the sales weren't great for like obviously December, January. I just hadn't been, like my job was like create content and I just wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
And then I just did a closing down sale and the demand was insane. I was
Really?
like, where were all you the last few months? Like, I just did one video, but like we're actually closing down the furnace because no one wants to do it. Like, wait, hundreds of people joined. It was like, oh my God, okay.
So you've something completely new coming.
Yeah, that's all I can say.
Will it be out this year?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Hopefully, if I get my arse in gear and like actually do some work.
Are you excited for it? Do you feel like creatively you're like recharged by it?
I really enjoy like I'm going to the office tomorrow and just like getting it, even just writing new workouts, like completely different. And like I've learned so much. Me and Corey have fallen into our niches where I'm like letting her look after nutrition, and we've got other experts. Again, can't say too much. I haven't said anything yet. I haven't said anything yet in my story. But yeah, I'm feeling passionate about it again and getting into a bit of routine at work and stuff.
Yeah. What else? I mean, you've pretty much told me. You can't tell me. You're not going to tell me anything. But career-wise, what would you like? What are your plans? I want you to write a book.
I actually thought.
Have you ever thought about writing a book?
Oh yeah, I started one, and it's funny now looking back. I must have been only about 30 or 31, and I thought I knew it all then.
Yeah.
And I started writing, and I was just like, I don't know enough yet. Like I knew that when I started writing, and the whole thing. I think I was going to call it something like 30 single, like as if like an ad for it was like female 30 single seeking nobody. That's what it was, and it was all about how just I've no interest in getting married, don't want kids, blah blah blah, and living on the beach. And I started writing. I was like, nah, I'm still too young to like be writing this kind of like advice, like I don't think I have anything like. I feel like those people have books, and I feel like they're just like, I don't know. I feel like I really want to write something of substance, but I'm not an expert in anything. Like I feel like I know a lot of bits of things, but I'm not an expert in anything. So I don't know what I would write a book about. But...
And is there anything else you would like to achieve?
I'm doing my yoga. I'm doing my yoga.
You're using your yoga. Yes, you're doing your yoga. So... I don't know what just came out of my mouth.
I'm just about to ask that. So the yoga teacher training, I will be finished in June, and I love it. Like I started doing yoga in COVID, and I was.
Was that in Bali? That you started doing it?
I used to do the odd, like over the years, I used to do the odd class. I think everyone goes to like the odd yoga class and think that's great, I should do more of that, and then they don't.
Yeah.
And I was always the same. Like, and I was just had too many activities I was trying to do, and I felt like even when I was in Bali, I'd go to like a gorgeous class, be an hour and a half, and I'd just be like, that was my whole day, basically. Got and so I just would never keep it up. And then when I came home during COVID, like when I kicked off, I came back to Ireland to be safe. And I found an app called Down Dog, and you could just do like a couple of minutes every day, and by just having that morning routine, the only thing like in COVID, like that's where the morning routine really kind of blossomed, because it was just like the only thing I needed it for my own mental health, like just like get the morning done. And but yoga, and like I just had nothing else to do. I really didn't enjoy it that much until you start like noticing things, and things start feeling a bit better. And I started increasing the time I was doing every day, and just by doing like a couple of minutes every day, that was so much more beneficial than doing the odd class. And it's probably the only, like in all the movements and all the places I've lived the last years, it's like been the one constant in my life. Actually, that's probably what you asked me at the start, like what hasn't changed. Like yoga has just been like, I just think it's so good for your head, for like strength, mobility. Like it helps me do all the other kind of training that I want to do all the time. And then I start actually, when I left Bali, I saw a place I used to go to. They were doing an online coaching course or online yoga teacher training, and I was like, yeah, perfect. Then I realized I was pregnant, and I was like, okay, I need to hurry this up and get it done. And like they just weren't great at like getting back to me about anything. So I left it, and I said I'd do it after the baby. And I was like, God, I probably will never get back to that. And then I just randomly saw that, I don't even know how I was on yoga with Maura's email list. Like I knew her, but I was like, I don't remember signing up to her email list. But I just got an email saying like they were doing an in-person one in Dublin. And I was like, I just knew I wanted to do it in person. It was on like over weekends. And I was like, how am I going to manage this with the baby? And I was like, I don't know. My mom and dad are like, we'll make it work, whatever you do. And like, she'll go to her dad as well. And I was like, I just knew it was something I wanted to do. So I just signed up like on the spot. Like I texted her, I've been like, do you think I should do this? And she was like, yeah, well, it's, maybe if you want to have a think about it. I was like, no, it doesn't matter. I'll sign up. Like, I'm signed up. I'll pay for it. And she was like, you could even do like payment. I was like, doesn't matter. No, take my money. I was like, and it just felt like the right time. Well, I mean, it probably wasn't the right time. But I'm glad I'm doing it now. It's something I really love, and it's hard. Like it's harder than I thought it would be. Yoga itself is so deep, and like it's not just about the movement. There's so much to it. It's like a philosophy. There's so much history to it. So I feel like I'm only kind of touching the tip of it, as I say. But I just know, between being online and everything, I think I kind of have the confidence to talk. It's just kind of learning the sequences, and I really want to have like an in-person class somewhere nearby.
Oh, you need to.
Yeah. And then I will do it online as well. But I don't know, it's something that like it's not going to be a big money maker. But I know it's something I'm like passionate about.
You're passionate about.
Yeah. I don't know where it's going to take me, but I've only and because I know now that I've only done like the 2 hour 100-hour yoga teacher training, like, and then you start learning. Then you do all the different. You can kind of find your niche, and like there's so many different types of yoga and so many different types of classes you can go to, and you can find teachers that you like. Like someone might come to my class and like, no, didn't like that. It was too strong, or it wasn't spiritual enough, or like. But then you'll have people that will come and be like, oh, I love that. And it's like you'll filter. Luckily, I'll have enough people hopefully following me that will come, and if half people don't like it, doesn't matter, because and I think that's how yoga classes work. Like I'll go to one, and we go to those classes as part of the course to figure out your style. Like I'll go to someone, I'm like, yeah, that was grand. But other people will be like, that was amazing.
So, it's all about your energy. Even how I presume, I don't know anything about yoga, but I presume like you could go in and be having a bad day, and that could just set you off, and you just might enjoy it.
As a good as a person going to the class, but like as a teacher, you have to be like, you have to leave your shit at the door, and I can't
What's it been like for you being a beginner at something and not being the top of your game? Have you thought about that?
As in at start, like as it started.
Yeah, like when you started off as a start off yoga teacher.
Yeah, it's funny because I've already been asked to do like teach yoga at this big thing where there's all the big teachers at, like they're obviously just doing it because I'm following. They want me to mention the event, and I'm like, no. I'm not ready at all. I think once I know that I'm a beginner and that I'm not going, okay, I'm a yoga teacher now, I'm ready to take on the world. I think that kind of, I'm not like I did when I was PT. I've learned that like to look at everyone who is 10 steps ahead of me and learn from them.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm excited to learn. And
you should definitely do that event though. Are you going to do it?
I don't know. I can't even remember. My agent is sorting out. But yeah, the weird one, because I know, like, I wonder when I look back at the first yoga class I teach, like, oh God, that was awful. But as long as I enjoy it, I know, and I obviously understand what I'm doing. Yeah, I can't wait.
That's really exciting. I'm so excited for you. And I feel like that's such a, because you're really high energy, you're really like entrepreneurial, and I feel like yoga is such a different route for you.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's obviously such a good thing.
But it's a compliment to everything else, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like, but I'm such a, like, even in the class, I'm always like, hey, pick me, or like volunteering, and like I think the teacher's like, can you just stay quiet for a minute? Because I'm just like, I'm, because it's something I really enjoy as well. Like, I'm really passionate about it. But I'm also real, like, especially when it comes to the spiritual stuff, I can be real skeptical.
Yeah.
And I have to kind of be like, shut up, Siobhan, don't say anything. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Or, you know, I'm like, just take what you want, like, take your own interpretations of things and like bring that forward. And, you know, some people love the like really spiritual side of it. And I do like it. And I do, especially like, yes, it's like deep and hard to explain, but you know, I kind of dip in and out. But I'll find my own way of teaching.
Yeah, of course. And I'm so excited for that. And I think it's so funny the way you said, oh, you know, if enough people want to do it, I'm like, there's going to be a queue down the road and back
And
again.
it's the pressure. And it's funny because I remember even starting podcasts, you know, like all this advice starting podcasts was like, well, at least, you know, you can be terrible on your first few because there won't be that many people listening. And I had such a big launch, and I was like, no, I need a few episodes where no one's listening so I can like learn, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm going to do with yoga. I'm just going to like do free classes, you know, like people are, I don't want to let people down. So, you know, it'll be like, if it's free, I don't know, like on the beach or something, but I'm also afraid then that loads of people will turn up and I'm like, no, I'm not ready. So I'm just trying to ask my friends at the moment, like, hey, I don't want to come do yoga in my back garden.
I love that. I love that. And you can maybe even do baby yoga.
No, have you ever tried to get a baby to stay still?
No.
Actually, I'm practicing with her today. I'm like, damn dog. I just crawled away. I was like, bye.
Bye, Mom. I always finish an episode with what's your favorite quote? What do you live by? But I know you've just had a beautiful baby, and I want to ask you, what's like, I know it's probably so hard to choose one value that you really want Kyla to have ingrained in her, but what's kind of the first thing that comes to your head?
Compassion, like understanding other people and why, and being nice to them. Like, I'm going to teach her that.
I love that.
And understanding other people like that. I think that's where conflict comes from, is people not considering other people, and where there are other people have different values, different views, and yeah, that's, hopefully I can have her open-minded.
I love it. Thank you so much, Siobhan.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.